What's up, guys? How we doing? I am a big fan of Canadian motocross in the early 2000s. I think what made it so great was the announcers. You remember the whole shot guy? Anyway, that's Brian Koster and his partner. I got Brian on to do a full show talking about Canadian motocross, how it was, how it is, the stories this guy has of the legends and parties. I think you're going to enjoy this one. I know you Canadians are going to enjoy it, and anyone who's raced in Canada, you'll enjoy it. Thank you to my sponsors, Nano Extreme.
And the Nano Extreme, oh shit!
Complete Racing Solutions, Coach Rob Beams. Click the link down below and get your 30-minute consult. Ride Strapped, goggles, glasses, shirts, Precision Transport, awesome shipping company. Alias MX Gear, such good stuff. 2026 dropping soon. And members, you are all entered to win a 32-ounce bottle of Nano Extreme in the month of May. So in about 10 days, I'm going to give away that 32-ouncer worth about $400. And everybody who's a member is entered to win the NIU Power Sports XQi3 motorcycle. These are badass.
You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers and say, that's the bad guy.
All right, guys. So I love Canadian motocross. Remember the whole shot? So I got in contact with Brian Koster. He's the man. How we doing, brother?
Hey, Chris, I'm good. Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Dude, I'm sorry. You have the most famous whole shot catchphrase ever. We all use it. I mean, Royal Distributing, I don't know how much publicity they've got out of that, but I remember the name. Everybody else remembers the name. What the hell got you to say that?
That first corner, who's going to get that Royal Distributing whole shot?
Oh, geez, I don't know, man. We're just a bunch of goofballs, having fun in the booth. And, we'd roll in all kinds of weird pop culture into our show from, the era, it started in 2000 right to 2017. So, the different popular TV shows, music. And that was just, something we just came out one day.
Dude, I can't tell you how many of my friends are casual fans that would watch and go, dude, I wish we had the Canadian announcers. They're so funny. They're so good.
Classic, unbelievable crowd here. MX1 calls on the game. It's down Brian coming to that first corner. Who's going to get that Royal Distributing whole shot?
Woo-wee, it looks like a drag race between Gerke and the...
Okay, so you're Canadian, obviously. How'd you get into this whole motocross thing?
Well, I grew up in the country. I'm in southwestern Ontario, Canada. It's called the Golden Horseshoe, and I got two older brothers. We had some land. Dad was cool. He was a motorcyclist and a real unique character. So just a pretty awesome dude. So I looked up to my two big brothers. They got motorbikes, a Cowie KE 100 with a dual range transmission, had this lever on the tranny, high low, and I was the third boy to get the bike. And my middle brother Steve, he lives in California now. He helped me do a top end on it when I was about 11 or 12, and yeah, I guess I started riding it when I was 11, and I did my first race at 13 on a 78 RM100.
78 RM100.
That was a 1 year used bike, and then in 1980 I got my first brand new bike, a 1980 RM100, and just thought I was I was on top of the world. And I mean, I shifted it before the power even came on, but I was slow as shit, but stuck with it.
Oh, that's awesome. So you had a racing career your own. How long did you race for, and when did you move from racing into the announcing thing?
Well, I pretty much raced the whole time. We would have amateur races on Saturday and the Pro Nats Sunday. So a lot of times I raced Saturday and was in the booth and taking on that role Sunday. So, yeah, we did that for a lot of years. I've always been a real heavy mountain biker. That started pretty much really hardcore in about 98, probably. 96, I started getting into mountain biking. About 98 was full bore. So I always did the two for years and years. It's help from Suzuki Canada, Yamaha Canada, one of those deals where I'd get a bike to use for the year and then return it.
Oh, wow.
Without having to pay. And that was well before I did any of the TV stuff. So, I had to, I would always try to race for my payback or contingency. You know, if I didn't make my my gas money or my entry, I'd be pissed. So, you know, I was always shooting for the podium in the age classes, and I got hurt in Toronto Supercross in 1990. I raced Supercross 2 years, so I turned pro in '88, and then you know, then I was not most gifted rider anyway. I get lapped at the nationals by all the top guys, which, I mean, still fine, but you know, it's kind of the best of the rest, you know, club champ, like club hero, and the local kind of hot shoe here and there. But, you know, on the big stage, couldn't quite compete with Ross Pedersen and those guys, but still in the mix. But yeah, it was a lot of fun racing, and
Well,
loved their fights.
you know what I found out too is a lot of the people who are the best analysts of the sport are guys like you and me who weren't very good pros. My pro career was pretty, there was nothing to write home about. I mean, I had fun, but I studied the sport and I learned it from all aspects. And I think maybe that's why you have such a great insight into this sport.
Yeah, maybe, you know, yeah, it's funny. And like, you know, my partner, Mark Travers, he didn't race, but he's up there. And Wygant didn't race. And, you know, I put those two right up there. Daniel Blair, of course, one of my faves, but, you know, he had a good racing career, but wasn't the best of the best either. So yeah, that's a strong point you make.
Okay. So the Canadian Series, I first remember when these guys came over, or when we started noticing it, was like Doug Dubach like the first real name that came up there?
It was, and that was my first year with the series, was 2000, and that was the 4-stroke era. Doug came up with Alan Olson was his mechanic, and yeah, he was a ripper, and I think even sometimes he sandbagged a bit to make better television, because he was like so far ahead. He's like, if I let these guys catch up, or I'm not going to get any TV time. So you know, I think he sandbagged a bit here and there, to be honest. But some of our guys kept him honest. But you know, his bike was fast, and he had a good support program with him. Dave Gowland at FedEx, so Dave Gowland ran the team, and he's now currently one of the top guys at Monster Moto Division. Yeah. And he ran the Rockstar Suzuki team, you know, with Jason Anderson and all those guys when they were kids. That huge team with Bobby Ute, I believe. So that's a Canadian. He was Pedersen's mechanic. And Gowland, at the Toronto Supercross, way before the AMA circus came up, his house was legendary for the after party. So the Gowland's house after party was legendary till the sunrise.
Oh my goodness. That is one thing that everyone who raced Canadian motocross talks about, the party, and you guys cut loose. Like, and then you had the Rockstar girls and you played it on TV. I'm not gonna lie, you made it seem like I wanted to go up there.
Yeah, buddy, that was the goal. Like, we had Monster first. We had the Monster. Diana Dahlgren was with us for 2 full years.
No way.
Know, she's cool as shit. Yeah, we did that. And Monster had a sick rig with satellite. We'd be watching F1 qualifying in there, and then race out to do our duties, and then like, because we're all like F1 fans and shit, and the girls were all getting ready, and yeah, it was pretty pretty epic. And the Monster was just class act. They had catering at every event for their Cowie team that they sponsored, and for the TV and some of the media that they chose to come in. So we get these beautiful catered lunches, and then we got Rockstar, and it was like Costco snack packs with like granola bars and Subway. Not that guy can complain about a free lunch, but then years later it evolved that we had our own crew cooking us food, and like at the end it was just a fun oiled machine, man.
So when Dubach was winning, was John Sebastian Waugh around? Because that dude was fast.
Waugh was amazing. I think he was still transitioning from US to Canada, because he was still having a pretty healthy US career. Planet Honda, I believe, maybe was his last big rides in the States. And so he might have done a round or two, but then I believe in 2001, he got hired on with Blackfoot Honda, and they were a powerhouse dealer and team out of Calgary. And Jason Thomas, JT Money, he rode for them. Damon Huffman, Mike Craig. So yeah, and then they had Blair Morgan up on that team. They did transition to Yamaha way into the later 2000s, but yeah, JSR was epic. But that first year with Dubach, that Ross Pedersen was doing the commentating at the time, and he's just an Alberta character, you know, 3 beers to my 1, and he was just, but he used to call him Dubach.
Oh my God.
we used to piss our pants. Ross would be in there in the ruts up to here with rubber boots, hair blown in the wind. He'd be pounding Coors Lights all day, and then he'd do his final stand up, just freaking cross-eyed. Just yeah, ridiculous. It was such fun.
What is Ross doing these days? I haven't heard much from
Well,
him.
he went through some personal problems. Some brother passed, and he was killing it, in business. Him and some partners rented a bunch of houses, but he's back on track, and just God bless him, love the guy, and he's just a solid individual, and he's back on track, cleaned up some of the, there's addiction issues that float around, and he beat some of his demons, and he's back on track.
That's good to hear, because it goes one of two ways: either you beat those, or that's it.
Yeah. Well, he was going the other way, but thank the Lord, he's back on track now, from what I understand, and the guy's a hoss, and he's a legend.
Dude, I remember him and Jim Hawley, and like every time he came over to the United States, I mean, the nickname Rollerball, that was well deserved. I mean, if you got near him, he had no problem breaking your leg. Like, he did not care.
Yeah, and him and Holly were actually buddies, and Holly would come up and win the old Toronto Supercross, and he's a legend too, with the after effects.
Yes,
of the
yes,
racing.
I've seen Holly in action before. That dude,
yeah, the podium girls, and just mayhem that ensues. But they a lot of the factory riders in motocross action, they'd ask who's the hardest rider to pass, and almost all of them said Ross Pedersen, and I believe Holly was there too. They were both freaking tough competitors.
But they were cool off the track. Like, that's what's so cool. Like, they weren't like the modern day guys where you bump me and the next thing you know, we're in a beef forever. Like you said, those dudes would try and kill each other and then go have beers. Like,
yeah. It's in Alberta, it's like, there's two things, and they start with F, and they both end with ing, and one of them's fighting. If you ain't doing the other, you're fighting. So pick one.
So you had so many American guys come up to Canada. Who are some of your favorites? What you got any notables?
If you can humor me to go through, if I forget anyone, please forgive me. But we got guys like the first gen Damon Huffman. Like, that guy won the first MGM Grand in Vegas. He won the $100,000. That was a factory Suzuki, factory Cowie guy down in the States, and he was epic. So he was up, and then Mike Craig, which is funny. Today, no one talks about him. One thing that frustrates me with the U.S. broadcast is I see all these second-gen rider names, and, they're unique names. Oh, man, his dad must be so-and-so, and they never really talk about the history. Once in a while, YGAN will say, oh, yeah, Jim Neese's kid, Luke Neese. Like, and they're both number 125, whatever. And Jimmy Neese raced up here. He was a laugh a second, too. But they don't really, and Mike Craig, I guess, is this taboo subject. Like, ooh, Mike Craig. Well, pissed off somebody.
No, and I can update that. So I talked to Mike recently. He's doing good. He finally got it together, but like Ross Pedersen, he had some dark times.
Oh, I didn't know.
He's helping run a track out in Southern California, finally got it together. But I think the relationship between him and Christian is not well. And I think that's why they avoid that.
No, I guess I get it. But he was awesome because he was such a competitor. He wanted to win so bad, but he was the interviews were the best. He was just the king of excuses. Like, everything was the bike, or it was the track, or it was anything but him. But we all cope in different ways. And I love the guy up here, but he made for good TV, because it'd always be like, he wouldn't just come up and say, yeah, JSR just beat me straight up. No, it'd be like, there would be something else, some excuse there. But so he was good. And I remember being at the one race in Quebec, and his son Christian was there, and he was just zooming on a pit bike all day long, just up and down this hill. There's a little track, and he was glued to the seat of that little Honda 70 or 50 or whatever it was. And this cute little blonde kid just ripping all day. So here's Christian Craig. So all these riders that came up here, whether they know it or not, the Canadians all became glued to them and their careers in the U.S. It's like, out of all that field, oh, that dude raced Canada. Oh, I saw that guy at my home track. And, like, we were all pulling for that guy. So that was really kind of strong. We really have a sense of pride, and the guys that took a chance on us, we were both feet in supporting their careers down the States and globally. So that was super cool. But yeah, Dubak, he asked me some of my favorites. I'll go through the list. Like we had John Dowd, Iron Mike Treadwell, Keith Johnson. Now they all run Southwick, MX33A, driving the Tozer. They loved Canada. Treadwell, I still have a Troy Lee helmet he gave me, and I don't have any keepsakes. Like, I'm such a loser. I gave away all my jerseys, on-air stuff, auctioned them off, gave them to different mechanics. You know, that's a whole nother thing, the whole mechanic end of the camaraderie, not just the riders, mechanics, teams, personnel, you know, the whole gamut. Yeah, so Treadwell, those guys, and then we had Lance Smale, Rusty Holland, and Brad Hagseth. Hagseth, he's a Washington guy. Rusty Holland, Northern Cal. Just a couple beauties. Oh, my gosh, just beauties. Hagseth actually won an MX2 championship on the West Coast for Yamaha, Pacific Yamaha. He was just a great dude, and Rusty was just a bro. They had Eric Nye. I mentioned JT Money was up here. Eric Nye to get a championship. We had Mike Alessi. Mike and Tony were up here for numerous years. So that was incredible. Craig Decker, who, you know, has a riding school, Florida-based, I think. We had Sean Hamblin, who went on to get a Suzuki ride after. So we had a lot of riders whose careers were kind of tanking, came here, refound a love, went to the States, name and point Davey Millsaps. No one was really touching him. He was injured, came up here. I didn't get to know him that well, but just the interviews and stuff. But he found a love for racing again, went down A1 with Suzuki and won the damn thing.
That was the year before he jumped on the Rockstar. Because I was just watching that and I'm like, I forgot that's how he was on the outs. Because was it Kawasaki that dumped him before that, or I can't remember when all that happened. But his career was pretty much on the outs. Yeah, he was pretty much done. He came up here, KTM gave him a ride, but I think he just rode here 2016, and I don't know if it was A117 that he won or if it was the next year. But got on that Suzuki and won, and we're just like, he's back. So that was super cool. It's great to see him working with Juju now. He's working with Juju now, right, Davey? Yep.
Yeah. With Christoph Porcel, world champion.
Okay, tell me, you got to have some Christoph, because that dude was one of the best riders ever, but he was a bit strange. He always had that gray little dog with him.
Well, you're asking questions, and I'm exactly what you said, wheeling around my head. He's a quiet dude.
Did he do anything that left you guys going like, what is that guy doing?
A couple times, but nothing I can put my finger on. But he had his girl, and they pretty much stuck to themselves. You know, he was, he didn't come to the podium once with his bike, and that was a fine because the bikes, the podium bikes have to be scrutineered. So imagine in F1, if you don't bring your car up and go straight to your pit, there's hell to pay. So, but then he came out with an excuse that he was too sick to bring his bike, but a team personnel should have bought it. But anyway, he was docked. But nothing to write home about, but just a quiet guy. Of course, Dean Wilson,
Dean's the best.
I sponsored him a bit when he was out of Calgary. I think he came from Scotland to Canada. He was about 4 years old. They lived in Calgary, and then he just was waxing every 80 kid here. And I think at around 13, 14, something like that, the family just made the decision to move to California for his racing only. And then a series of events, which I know a little bit about. He raced for Canada at the Nations, and then he migrated to the Scottish flag and the UK team. But you could ask Dean about that one. I don't want to talk out of turn, but I love Dean Wilson. I know a little bit about why he dumped Canada and went to Scotland, and I kind of know the person that's somewhat responsible for that. But
well, you know what? Let's just get
as
into
much
it
as
right
I want to
now.
throw him under the bus. I guess I probably won't right now.
No, well, you don't have to throw Dean under, but I know.
No, the person that kind of pissed him off.
I know who it was. It was the 32nd girl from World Supercross. She was in charge of the Supercross team or the Des Nations team, and there were all sorts of issues with that. Can you enlighten me on what happened there, or why did that happen? Riders didn't want to ride.
Oh, okay, no, that's way after the fact.
Okay,
the 32nd girl board. Oh my gosh, I know what you're talking about. Dean. He did ride for Team Canada. Dude, we have Vince Freese, We had Vince Freezy in Canada, and him and Kevin Benoit had epic battles. And in Quebec, where Benoit's from, Freezy like pissed him off, and like everyone at the track wanted to murder Vince Freeze. Like he damn near needed bodyguards. And the French fans are super passionate. The moto in Quebec is next level. They really support it. They have great tracks, and I mean, I love Quebec, but you know, it is a bit of a distinct society. They have kind of a different language, a little different culture, but we're all Canadian. And
I just watched Quebec when Kevin Benoit got his first win, and it was crazy. Dudes are hopping the fence, running on the track. His dad's with a chainsaw. I don't know where he's standing. It looks like he's on the finish line with a chainsaw like King Kong. Wow, you're not kidding when you say those Quebec fans are nuts.
Yeah, it's funny. And I remember Benoit when he was just a kid racing. He had his brother, and they were both short. Like he didn't grow till he was like freaking 21 or something. You know, he was like a late bloomer. And I remember him racing. I'm like, man, what are these guys even? What are they thinking? Like, and he just turned out to be this epic champ. So yeah, man, it's just the stick with it is incredible. So I love the Benoit story, but yeah, that whole Freezy thing was next level. Kyle Chisholm, man, he raced here at 17 when he won a title, and in the East, his mom and dad were up here, so we know the family. And then he. So,
what exactly did Vince do to Kevin? Did you just take him out? Did you just do the normal?
Just on track antics, antagonistic. Vince Freeze doing Vince Freeze things, talking shit, and just stirring the pot. Dude. Telling them like just words, fighting, like arguing, and just in hot lap or practice and qualifying, just dogging them, and you know, just really antagonizing them.
Vince is the best.
He's the friendly guy.
Yeah, but Vince is the best though. Like Vince.
Yeah. He was. I love that. He was amazing. Like he's so great off the track. We used to call him Vincenzo, and he's like, I don't care what you call me, man.
He really doesn't. He doesn't care at all.
No. He was great. So you know, before I met him, I was a hater because he'd be like impeding my guys. Like I'm cheering for Anderson, and like fuck Vince, get out of the freaking way, bro. And then when I met him, I'm like, oh man, I can't hate this guy. He's awesome.
No, and he's a promoter's dream because you really want, you know, a conflict and conflict resolution as a promotion because that's what draws attention. Nobody wants to be the bad guy. Vince does not give a shit. Vince loves being the bad guy.
Yeah, he's unique. He was a great guy up here.
I don't know. We're here. We won every moto. We're having fun. We won every moto, and yeah, we'll keep it rolling.
Chisholm, that was a good one, and then he came back a couple times throughout the years. So I actually went mountain biking with Tyler Medaglia, him, and I think Sean Moffenbauer, a great Canadian racer. And it was actually Chisholm's first real mountain bike ride on single track through the woods. And I kind of led the ride. I took the guys to the sixth spot, and you know, as fit as he is, you know, he was mountain bike, so we had to wait up for him a fair bit just because he wasn't used to mountain biking. But not too bad. We didn't have to wait too long. But he come up and he's just like in the forest. He's like, oh man, it's like my first mountain. This is awesome. Like I freaking get it. This is mountain biking. I freaking get it. So I don't know if he stuck with it, but you know, I love to see him on TV and get the accolades he's getting, and to see him do his swan song and his beautiful family. So
those Florida guys, it's flat. I talk about mountain bikes. They don't know what I'm talking about.
Well, they have sick trails. They got endless sick trails. The sand gets hard. There's just not a lot of elevation, but you make up for it for the turn. So it's almost like supermoto, you know, or MotoGP. You're on your bicycle. There's different challenges. People say, oh, these trails are boring. Okay, well, add 5 miles an hour, add 10 miles an hour. See how boring it is. Then it becomes lively. Then you're shrouding every turn, and, you know, then it's exciting. So Florida does have really good mountain biking. You just got to speed it up to make it.
Well, dude, I've been riding the Sur on the mountain bike trails.
Oh, yeah.
Dear God, it's so fun. I haven't had this much fun on a bike. And actually, I just signed with a new company called NIU Power Sports to try their E. It's similar to the Sur, but it's supposed to be better. But yeah, I haven't had this much fun on a bike in a long time. Are you one of those mountain bikers that freaks out when guys like me are out there, though?
Hell no. Where I live, I've got like 100K single track out the backyard and about 100K across the road, which is mixed. But there's horse trails, there's dirt bike trails, and there's mountain bike trails. Hikers usually come onto our trails, so they're more of the if you want to call it a nuisance. But the only sense of nuisance is they always give us attitude, but we're super friendly to them, and we build, maintain, and take care of all the trails when there's storm damage. Like, we buy $10,000 bikes and bust shit all the time. They buy one pair of hiking boots. They last 10 years, and they're all, snooty. And we're keeping the industry and supporting economy, and they're just freaking giving us attitude,
Yeah.
But anyway, I digress.
So you did this for a long time, and I haven't watched much lately, but it's like it just tapered off, and all of a sudden it just lost its excitement. What happened to your guys' series?
Well, I'll get to that. I just want to.
Yeah.
I just want to quickly. Bobby Canary, that guy was a huge Canadian, a supporter. Brett Metcalf, absolutely one of my all-time faves. The coolest guy, the most prepared guy, the most knowledgeable guy, the smartest guy with nutrition, training. Like, Brett Metcalf is a holy grail guy for me.
Yeah.
Just love that dude. So got to spend some good time with him between races, at the beach and just hanging out. Like, what a guy. Michael Willard, he was a fast dude. Gavin Graysick, Horizon Award winner. He stayed at my house between rounds when he was injured. I helped him with some therapists, and his beautiful fiance stayed there, stayed with me, and, kind of helped get him going in the hot tub and everything. And then she died of spinal meningitis. And then his father died of ALS or meningitis. So the guy's had tragedy in his life, but what a guy. We had Pedro Gonzalez, Brad Noddet. He raced up here forever. Mark Worth, who's a Cowie prodigy. Matt Gerke was a champion, and he was, a guy I'd met. Jeff Northrop.
Oh, NorCal's the best. That's my buddy there.
Yeah, he's up there. NorCal should have been up there when I said Holland and Access and NorCal.
Yeah.
So that was the same kind of era. Josh Hill, a whole season here, and I had history with him back to 2007 when I had MX Culture show. So he was just like a kid, him and J-Law. The Riley Bruff and Gavin Bro or Bruff, whatever family. They're still racing. I see their names up there. We guys like Politelli, Bobby Piazza, that, names you still kind of see.
My buddy Randy Valade got a
Randy Valade, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, Randy was up. He was an awesome kid. Thank you. That's a name I missed. So apologize to Randy.
He had the Coors Light gear on. I was like, oh, dude, that's so cool. We always called him a Canadian champ when we hung out with him.
Yeah, buddy. He went on to MSR and just a nice person. Just a real nice demeanor.
Well, and that's the funny thing is every single one of those guys that you've mentioned that I've ever talked to has nothing but kind things to say about their time in Canada. Everybody loved it. It's great.
Yeah, we were, we had a pretty good thing going there, and it was a lot of work, but yeah.
And dude, you guys on the mic, some of the things you got away with just made me laugh. And I was telling you before we went on camera, you were talking about, you were giving the guy, you got the 30-second girl, and then you got it standing next to him with the watch, right? You guys are implying that he had a camera in the watch and he's filming the rock star girl. I'm like, oh my God, seriously?
It's a different era, dude. Political correct we didn't even know what that meant back then, but Kingsley was the ref, so he raced pro. He was real fast. So we're all in a circle still today, man. Like Stolly that ran at CMRC. Stolly and Travs came to my place for round 2 of the Supercross. So we reunited, and they all crashed over, and we had a rip-roaring day of skiing at the ski hill across the road, and downhill mountain biking right now. Lift access right here, but we were skiing a day, and then a great meal, and then we watched the Supercross. And I like to play in the kitchen, so made some great snacks, and it was just a great reminisce and love fest to connect with the guys. Yeah, it was amazing. And Kingsley, he got into mountain biking, so Stolly just got a new e-bike. I helped get them a deal through a friend. So they're riding these sick carbon intense e-bikes right now.
Dude, it's pretty cool. Like I said, I just have to ask, like, are you like, can we get to the part where it kind of changed?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, there's so many good things I want to talk about what we did. For my start and my early heroes in the sport, my brothers, Heike Mikkola, Roger DeCoster, Brad Lackey, we had, MXA magazine, and later in the years, I got Cycle News for results. But The TV gigs started in 1985. I raced the 500 Junior Championships in Canada. My friend Terry Baker got first. I got second. We're all friends today from 85. Fred Ted Barrington got third, and Mark Stollybross got fourth. And we battled. And Stolly tried to fucking take me out on the last corner of the last lap. It was like this big down off camber, and there's a steep hill, and then there was a cone like right at the top, so you could hug the top and just kind of sneak around, or you have to go all the way down to the bottom, turn, and come up. So I was kind of taking the shorter line up top. So he come and just punted me. I go, oh, fucker. I go all the way down to the bottom. I turn around, come up, and he was laying on his side, and I came up and just give him a little extra 500 roost. Stolly, you son of a bitch. But he goofed up. That was in the second moto. He messed up the first moto. So yeah, I think I went 2-2. I went 2-2 for second. My buddy Bakes went 1-1. Yeah. But yeah, we're all friends today. So then Stolly was my friend from the track. I lived in the country. He lived in Toronto. He's like, we became friends. He said, oh, come to my place. I'm like, this country boy. I come to the big city of Toronto. I'm like, holy shit, people live like this too? I'm like, wow, I'm just used to the sticks. Like people live in the city. And he grew up under most modest conditions. His dad was a photographer, like weddings and babies. Like, guy came from really nothing. And yes, then we became friends. And then the CMA was running motocross in Canada. They were kind of shit in the bed. So he brought in the CM RC and kind of took it over and built this amazing motocross country. Oh yeah. And then what happened was in 2000 they were doing the nationals and stuff, and I have a company called Orthoflex. I do custom knee braces. I do the CTIs and stuff for guys. So I sponsor a lot of these riders. I do a lot of their knee braces. So I was sponsoring the Suzuki race team at the time, and I'd never been to BC. So he said, hey, we're talking, I've come to BC. Well, hey, maybe between races you want to interview a mechanic or something. And I said, yeah, whatever. I'm coming out anyway. I'll give it a try. So went out there, was with my team, and it was awesome. They had, my graphics on the bike, and they had Marco Dubé, Jason Thorne, who went on to be in all kinds of Crusty Demons movies.
I remember him.
Thorny's just like first guy ever sponsored, just a friend today. He's just an A-class individual. So they were Thorny, I think Mike Fisher and Derek Fisher and Simon Holmes. But anyway, so then we had a big mobile 18-wheeler. No one really knew motocross. They were trying to make the show a show from nothing, not a lot of experience. So the mic was cabled all the way to the mobile. So I'm wearing these mechanics wear gloves, and I got these cable, and I'm doing these interviews during the race with the mechanics, and they liked it. And so I said, okay. So then I stayed out west for a bit and followed the tour, did a few more rounds. And then towards the end of the year, Ross Pedersen was doing the color commentary. And I guess him and Stolly were at it because he's like, Stiali, I drive a Mercedes at home in Edmonton. When I come to Ontario, you got to rent me a Mercedes. When he came to do the voiceover, right? Stolly's like, oh, I got to fly this guy here, rent him a Mercedes. And then he's like, he can only stay at the nicest hotels. So I came in, Stolly got a bargain. And I kind of felt bad. And Ross was like, he didn't give a shit. So then I went into the booth commentating the last two rounds, which were awkward at best. But that was my start into 2001, where it was just our team full time. And at that time, we got tied up with Hill's production company. And that's when everything just started to just get better and better and better. Robbie Hill, like these are guys that shoot hockey games, like commercials for franchises like TGI Friday. I don't know if they even still exist down there.
They do.
But we do restaurants like that are just like that. He'd be doing their 30-second spots for TV and actual TV shows and actual proper production company for television and movies. And Rob Hill, just a brilliant. And then his team, our audio guy, he Colin, he has a huge role to play in our antics because we'd be like, cut that. And he's going, no, that has to stay. That's gold. So he kind of helps stir the pot for shit. I'd be like, dude, we can't run that. Like, and he'd be like, no, it's good. So there's some stuff I'm embarrassed about, but it's in there now. So whatever.
Dude, that's some of the best stuff, though, is the stuff that you don't want to be in there, the outtakes that you're like, oh, no, that's got to stay. The things you guys said and left in, I can't imagine what hit the floor.
Dude, we were waiting for the CRTC letters, and they never came. That's the Canadian Radio Telecommunication Broadcast, freaking watchdogs. We were waiting to get a slap on the wrist, and we just kept pushing the boundaries and pushing the boundaries. Yeah, nothing. We never even got a letter. So awesome. We were under the radar.
I think something happened to your audio there. Is there some?
Yeah, it's a freaking helicopter.
Oh.
Hopefully no one's getting airlifted over at the hill.
Oh shit! I was like, God, I can hear something in the background. So no, but so that's when it ramped up. Is around 2000. You get the production company, and that's when America started noticing, right?
Exactly what it was, Chris, was Speed Vision. Speed Vision was the catalyst that got us in the United States. So that was amazing. And then Speed Vision actually started, sending us up clothing for doing our stand-up bits. So sometimes we change our shirt for the Speed Vision Open and then for the Canadian Television Open. So we'd be like changing our shirts between takes and all this goofy stuff. And Speed Vision was the bomb. Yeah, that really got us going and got us some good viewership. I think at one time our show all cumulative was like 151 countries. Like wow. It was blasted everywhere, and there'd be like troops in Iraq watching our show, and that like groups of them would watch the show, and we'd get hits back. And I was walking downtown Toronto one day. This dude from Portugal came up and asked me who I was, and the pictures, and just stoked on the show, and that was pretty awesome. I was in Hawaii, and these dudes were like knew the show, and
dude, announcers everywhere go, oh shit, thanks to you. Like that caught on.
It was tough because I was the guy that loved motorsports. I played hockey and that, but I'm not like know all the stats and shit. I watch playoffs. But I would be the guy watching from the couch, criticizing the shit out of these guys. I'm like, yeah, right. What are you talking about? You suck. And I mean, just like taking the piss out of all these guys, right? Meanwhile, years later, I'm on the other side and I'm like, ooh, dude, okay, this is what it's like. Yeah. We used to have like indie racing Jan Beekes. We used to take the piss out of him and all these guys, And,
well, but dude, a lot of it, like Ricky, has got to be the worst ever. The thing is I know it's a hard job, and I don't want perfection. But damn it, you got to give me something. You got to give me some authentic opinions.
Yeah, I'm hearing you. I got to work with Ricky at Gopher Dunes National. He was up here for Suzuki doing a big ride with Ricky Day of some sort. So he did a moto with me because we would broadcast. I did Canadian Motocross Radio, a live broadcast from the track. We had a house announcer doing for the fans, and then I'd be all bundled up with a headset up on a scissor lift and doing that. And so a lot of the riders' families would be listening in, and they type in questions, and I'd be like theater of the mind. There was no video. So I'd be like telling the weather and just how the track was laid out. And it was kind of like those days before TV, and you just get a lot of compliments on that because it was called the theater of the mind. So I guess worked on painting the picture of so that was really fun. But then I was with Ricky, and I thought, well, that was an honor in that. But yeah, I mean, Ricky tries his best. I like it when James is there to take the heat off of him. I think it's a lot better when it's the three of them. Like for me, I think no one should be there except Wygant. He is the best. He's paid his dues. He's got 20 years from nothing to something. He knows his chops. He's gotten better and better. He's amazing. I think Mark Travers with more time, those two are pretty much neck and neck. But he's just been in it so much longer and consistently. I met Jason in Toronto once, and we hit it off, and he wasn't even on TV. I think ours were just starting. He was just a Racer X guy. And then he wrote something in there about the party in Toronto in one of the magazines. They had like a social page where they kind of wrote about stuff, and he had kind of said a few blurbs about me and my big mouth. But we just laughed every freaking line we each said, and it was like, yeah, it was just one-upmanship of he's just a funnier guy, and we were just busting myself laughing. I don't know if he even remembers, but I remember. But
yeah, Weege is a funny dude, man. He really is.
Yeah.
He doesn't take himself that seriously. With that
Yeah.
said, he busts his ass. He wants to be the announcer, and he does have to play that game to get where he's at. But I got nothing but respect for Weege. I don't like the company he works for, but Weege has been nothing but good to me ever since I've met him. So
yeah, Chris, I hear you loud and clear. The Langston interview was holy grail. That's the best bit ever. I just love Langston, and that interview you did with him was gold. My phone lit up. Like, people were saying, "Did you see Langston interview on Cooksey?" Yeah, that was really powerful stuff, man. I wish I could be even that much as eloquent as Grant Langston and say as much as he does with so few words. The guy was awesome.
dude, and that's the thing. I didn't know Grant was going to come on the show and nuke everybody. I said, "Come on, just like you. Come on, say what you want," and he took it there. So I just all I had to do was shut up and get out of his way.
Yeah, he was fantastic, and I learned a bunch of stuff that I didn't know. So that was really good.
So you had whatever happened to the Toronto Supercross? Did you announce that one?
Toronto Supercross used to be just promoted by a Canadian outfit and just local. I don't know if I ever did pay-per-view for Toronto. I don't think I ever did. We used to for Montreal. But then when the AMA came in and brought the big show, we were given a few small roles like qualifying announcing. I know we did in Vancouver. So they flew us out for that, me and Trav. So we did I think the Friday or the daytime part of it. So yeah, we had a little bit to do with it. But then once it became Monster Energy, there was the 2 rounds, Toronto and Vancouver, and that's when it was part of the big show.
Yeah, 100%.
So that was next level. So I got to witness and be a part of some pretty epic moments as well during that, just as a spectator.
Yeah, and I'm glad that Vancouver has a major Supercross again with World Supercross coming back, and I got to go there. You're Canadian fans. You say what you want. They are passionate. They were singing the national anthem. I was like, damn, these guys are awesome. I love your fans.
Oh, and same. I love America. This whole thing. I love America. Any of these Canadians, and there's all this political rhetoric. It's just loud talking, just a bunch of horse shit. I love America. It's top to bottom.
Other than Mathis, can you please take that guy back? I can't stand that guy. That's the one Canadian that I don't like, and it has nothing to do with Canada. I think the guy's just a douche. But let me ask you, he claims Canadian, claims he's Mr. Canadian know-it-all. What's your experience with the mattress?
Honestly, I met the guy once just for a second at the Nations 07. Of course, Tim Ferry was on the team, so when Tim Ferry's there, all you see is Matt's heels, if you know what I mean. So yeah, he's loving on Timmy, right up inside him, I think. But at that time, I don't think he would have fit anywhere up there. He was a big lad then. But no, I just met him the one time, and then I think in Canada I met him once. So I don't know too much about him. I mean, I never even watched YouTube till a year ago. I never even followed anything. I'm not on Instagram. I'm outside, not really a techie, a computer guy. I just discovered all this a year ago. And that's when it was like, wow, it was great. I saw your site. I saw some of the Gimpy Tales stuff. And I thought his interviews are in depth and good. And I told my buddy out west, I'm like, you see that? He goes, dude, that guy's nasally voice, I can't even freaking stand him. I can't listen to him. And from now on, all I hear is his nasally voice. And I'm like, oh, shit. But yeah, he talks about himself way too much. And I don't like opinions from C-level riders on the state of our pro-level sport.
Well, giving him C-level is being generous. I don't know if you've seen him ride. It's not.
Yeah, no, that's what my buddy said. He said he's just not that quick. But anyway, he's got a platform. He gets the best of the best. Some of his interviews are awesome. I really liked Randy Lawrence and of course Jeremy McGrath. Randy Lawrence, his brother Phil was up here too. Can't forget Factory Phil was
Yeah.
up here, and Randy was up here with some helping some riders. Johnny O'Mara helped some Canadian kids over the years. Was up here, but yeah, no, that's I digress on that one. But
What's the Canadian motocross opinion of Mathis? Is he the god that he pretends he is?
oh hell, I mean, he's got a platform, shock jock, like you say, and I enjoy some of his stuff. I don't agree with a lot of his stuff, but I can watch. And I get a chuckle out of some of the stuff. He's done a lot with what he has, but again, it's you're helped there, and was learned a lot with. I forgot all about him suing Yamaha. I knew that, but I totally forgot. But Langston brought it up, and it's funny now that Yamaha's his top sponsor and gives him a bike. So it's just crazy how it works. But we all make mistakes and in what we do, and now again. Personally, I feel sorry for anyone on Ozempic. That stuff is toxic. It's toxic. Any benefit you get, I think you're gonna be paying a real negative price down the road from all the research I do, and I'm pretty much plugged into a lot of holistic lifestyle, holistic health, and holistic living.
Yeah, pharmaceuticals, it's a quick fix. Really, you just need to live a healthy lifestyle. These pharmaceuticals always have some side effect that's going to wreck you down the road. You might get the benefits, but I don't know. It doesn't seem to be the way to go for me. And you say one mistake. That was not just a mistake. That's a character flaw when you sue over hours or do like that. I'm not okay with that. And I've had a lot of personal dealings with Steve. That's not a one-off. That's a pretty good depiction of who he is, in my opinion. So
yeah, I can relate to the things you're saying, and I just don't know myself, but I see.
No, fair enough. I don't. That's my words.
He tries to help where he can, I guess, but yeah, it's an opinion-based thing. I know some guys that follow him, and I know some guys that can't stand him. So.
Yeah, and he does a good job. He gets a lot of good information. I listen to the Racer X show with him and Jason Thomas. They got a lot of good info. I listen to a lot of the post-race interviews because he's allowed to go there, unlike me.
Yeah, I know, right? That sucks.
Hey, speaking of guys, I heard you had an incident with Mr. Jeff Emig at the Toronto Supercross. You want to elaborate on that, or?
Yeah, that was years ago too at the Supercross, and see, he was working all night doing the commentary. We didn't have any role. Monster's a title sponsor. We're Goombas, buds with all the Monster dudes from the Nationals. So we're getting the VIP passes. We're going to after parties. We're going when the snow and ski show was in Toronto. They have bands and all those athletes come. They like, hey, what are you doing? Here's a pass. So, we get to go to all these VIP events where there's table service. You're in the best bars in the city, and everyone's lined up at the bar, and we've got like a section all cordoned off with like Grey Goose and all the mix on every fifth table. We're just like, anyway, whatever. We got some pretty royal treatment, so just don't want to be like me, but we were blessed to have all these kind of perks, right?
Tony Soprano of Toronto.
Well, not quite, but Monster rolls, like, they were so fun. And then Red Bull, they're next level again. They make a lot of money. Like, we know what the liquid in the can we know the can costs more than the liquid in the can with almost all these products, even Pepsi, Coke, all that shit.
Yep.
So here we are. We're in the Monster VIP all night watching Supercross, open bar, snacks, food. Slash is playing the U.S. national anthem on the guitar. So
wait, Slash at the Supercross?
Yeah, Slash is playing the national anthem, full slashed out. Now he's in the Monster booth all night partying with us and Vanilla Ice, and we're fucking partying with Slash and those guys. And he used to ride BMX at a really high level and messed around. He said he had a YZ80 at one time.
Slash did?
Yeah. But I read his book subsequently after. Like, I like a lot of these nice vacations in the Caribbean and whatnot. So I'll make sure I had a decent book. So I read Slash's book. It was really good. But he was a really good BMXer, like up to almost pro level.
Wow.
And winning shit. And then he got the guitar, and then that was that.
Well, and
Well,
Vanilla Ice can ride. Woo, he's good.
Oh, Vanilla Ice is legit. And dude, that guy, I've seen some of the YouTube stuff on him recently. That guy's the coolest shit. And I did see his TV show when he was doing like home and property renovations. It was great. I've rent out a few houses, so I watch these reno shows, and his is the best. He'd be on like lifts with trees and the freaking forklifts just like teetering on one wheel. He's going, whoa, maybe we're gonna overload this thing. And
do you remember when they had the celebrity races at Supercross? And
no,
he won every single one of them. They
on
bring
dirt
out like
bikes?
they put him on a real
super
super.
in the cars at Indian shit.
No,
but
they
I
put
didn't
him.
know
They did
can't
this for a
remember
couple
that.
years, and they put Vanilla Ice out there with like Jason Ellis and all these different X Games athletes, but they quit doing it because Vanilla lapped them all like 3 times.
Oh yeah, I know. He's a legit dude. So he was up there, but didn't talk to him as much as I wish I had of, honestly. I did talk to Slash for quite a while, but so anyway, we're up there partying. So we're basically 3 sheets to the wind now by the end of the day. Like, I don't drink a lot now, and I didn't have a drinking problem, but at the time's right. It's a free open bar, beautiful spread.
You're Canadian, open bar.
Yeah,
What do you
Canadian.
do?
So I was like boozing it up all night. We're partying wide open, cheering the Supercross in town. It's like a big deal for us. So then we're always pre-party, after parties. So one of the after parties were there, and I saw Emma, and here I am. I didn't think this one too well. I come kind of up there and hey, and I guess he recognized me fresh. Hey, and I said, this is what I said. I just said something. I said, I just opened with, how can you stand working with that dipshit Ralph? Because I'm not a Ralph Sheheen fan, dude. I couldn't even watch US Flat Track when he was on. Thank God he's not on for 2025. And you're not supposed to talk bad about other people doing the same role, but man, I was never sold on him. Like never. I could never adjust my attitude to like his delivery. Whether he's the greatest guy in the world off air, maybe. I don't know. I just did not like him representing our sport. And so that's why I said to Emick, and I guess they had developed a friendship.
Oh, yeah.
Emick's like, oh, he was like, just like, oh, and he just kind of like, I can't even fucking talk to you. And he like took off. So then, and then I went up the bar, and then we had quite a conversation for about 20 minutes. And then we were like, just talk. Yeah. And we were like, it was pretty intense. Just, the party was going around us. We were in the bar, just bantering back and forth about our experiences. And he kind of opened up that, like he taught Ralph everything, obviously. And I taught Travers a lot because he didn't know the nuances. He didn't grow up racing. So, they asked questions and we answered them. And, but like, just like Travers and I developed a great friendship, those two, I guess, had done the same. And Emick was having his back, but I opened with, how can you stand working with that dipshit Ralph?
Yeah, I gotta say, I wasn't sure where you're going with that, but I was like, I actually respect when someone like Emick actually stands up and has his buddy's back, because I'll have my buddy's back. I don't care how wrong they are. I got their back. I'll go to them personally and say, what the fuck are you doing? But I will always have their back, especially if a stranger comes up. So
yeah, he did, but I think we're good. I think we're good now.
Yeah. I probably listen. Emick and I have had our own little issues too. So I was very, very critical of him replacing Langston when they removed him over the jab. I told him not to do it. I said, you're crossing a line in as far as Grant's taking a stand, and you are literally becoming a scab by jumping in there. I said, don't do it. I said, this will stay with you forever. He didn't care. Did it anyway. So.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know I forgot he was even the replacement. Like, there was a lot of years we didn't get any U.S. coverage until I started to buy the pass. Like, because we don't get ESPN. We don't have, like, I didn't grow up watching U.S. races like I wanted to. We had ABC Wide World of Sports. And, people come up to us, why can't your show be more like the American show? We didn't even watch it. We didn't even see it. And then when I did end up seeing it, I could see there taking cues from our show, like the way they would shoot the start. I go, holy shit, dude, that's what we do. And so I think they were studying our show a bit.
Oh yeah,
and that's
definitely
the best sort of flattery if they kind of copy a bit. So I think that is probably what happened. We weren't copying them because we didn't get anything to copy. We weren't watching shit. We were just developing that thing as we went, and trying different things. We had bands. We had like a a montage in the middle of the races where we just had 30, 40 seconds of kids and dogs and girls and happenings in the pits, kids playing with their moto dirt bikes, and then the band. We had all these independent bands that would do halftime and shit, and then all the food court and all the great food trucks and people eating all their beautiful food, just sights and sounds of the track to cool music. And I love those things. I love those montages. So we had so many different creative juices flying in all these directions just to try and make an exciting broadcast. That's all we wanted to do, was make people happy, make people laugh, make people want to watch again, and elevate the riders and elevate our sport to what it is. It's just the most incredible sport going. Like, it just takes so much grit, so much grit.
So much. And these guys risk their lives every single time. I'm sure you, like the rest of us, anyone in this sport, either we have our own injuries or we see our friends. We've got friends that have been in wheelchairs. It's just every single time they put it on the line. And that's why I speak up so much when I see something stupid like those damn tough blocks. Like, when are, like, the sport's dangerous enough. You don't need to add stupid. And, but when you talk about how serious it is, it gets me a little fired up. So.
Yeah. Those things gotta go. They gotta be moved off the track or something. And even you just clip a foot peg, even, like, it's just a game of inches and millimeters, and these guys are using all the track, sniffing for every ounce of smooth line or advantage. And then and if someone does clip one and it just gets kicked out a bit, track guy can't get it in time, but he comes and hits it. And the tough blocks where he was last lap, and then there you're cartwheeling away, and then don't even get me started on the cement and shit on the side. And it's, I don't have the answers, bro, but it's gnarly.
Yeah. Well, what do you, so you watch quite a bit these days, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I have the pass.
What do you think of this? What do you think of this generation of riders? Lawrence's, Deegan's, anything in today's motocross that's got your attention that you want to weigh in on?
Oh man. Well, I mean, obviously I love the Deegs. Like, he's incredible. You don't like to see a guy dominate all the time like Lawrence, and then you learn other stuff that, learn a lot from your podcast about them. And I think if not big fans at the moment, but love the Deegs. Just love all these up and comers. I just love the sport, and just you as a fan, your favorites kind of, you're always like this. But I love Jason Anderson, and I didn't even know what he looked like for 3 years as a fan. Just, he was on Gallon Suzuki team, this kid jersey hanging out, and I said, man, when this guy wants to make up his mind for a pass, he's taking it. So I just gravitated to this kid. I didn't even know what he looked like. For years I knew nothing about him. Just saw him on the track, and he rode for Dave's team. So I'm like, I cheer for this guy, cheering for Dave's team. And now I'm a pretty big fan of Anderson. And I mean, when you look back, I think he should have 2 titles. I forget what was 2021 or whatever, but that year, between Cooper Webb, Mookie, Barsha, and the AMA, they must have cost him $1 million freaking dollars, dude. And if not the championship, like those guys, just at least $500,000 just in that money, let alone the championship money. And the AMA, I want that Ride Strap shirt. And I want to get some stuff from Ride Strap for sure. I love what some of the stuff he produces. But I love that you turned up Lawrence saying suck it. No one says shit. Hayden said suck it, and it's a big inquest. And then for him to get in shit for that pass,
dude, that was such a soft pass.
Guys, that was so soft. And he came up to him twice and was polite as shit. He could have taken him out twice. Got right up beside him twice in that race. Finally, the third one gives him a little nudge for the championship, and he gets the strap. Gets in a big shit for it. Not you bunch of goofs. They make the rules as they go. It's just like this. It's just a buddy system, like you always say. Who knows? Who blows? They stay.
If they fear you, if they fear that they can't control you, you will get clipped. They will come down on you. They are terrified of Deegan.
Well, dude, there's so much money in this. People do weird shit for money. Mickey Thompson, Mike Goodwin. This is where it's at. And these sideshow fell snake oil people, they got no love. They got no love. He's got his daughter, in there raising tickets and run. It's all nepotism. Looks like the descendants of Mr. Ed. And
well, and that's what I think the ticket price jack up this year was. It wasn't at all the rounds, but all the popular rounds, it went up 100, 200% in the, in the price because she took over. So they want to show the board. Oh, look, we put her and she did such a great job. Look at profits, you dumbass.
Yeah, my little daughter. My daughter's got the job on the board. Gee, that was a lot of merit.
Yeah.
But that stuff, and I know it's just a little click. It's a little click. We endured that. I mean, Davey's always been great to me personally. Got us VIP for donations. He's been gracious. All the times I've met him, he's been awesome. So I know there's a lot of good.
Well, and that's that's the scariest type of person who's evil. He's presentable. If you met him, I met him first couple of times. Like, God, this guy's really cool. He's great. But then he'll turn on you. And that's how, and then nobody will believe you because when they met him, he was so nice. It's kind of scary how he operates.
Yeah, the money clouds people, and that thing with the promoters group really kind of made me wonder. You go up there to represent a group, and you come back, and now you're sole owner of it. So, I mean, Bud Feldkamp seems like a pretty rational dude.
He is. I mean, he's a little rough around the edges, but that's why people sided with Davey because Davey's got that personality. Even though Bud was in the right, they went, he does seem a little irrational. So we'll just side with Davey. But meanwhile, he just robbed them blind of the series.
I'd like to know more from some other promoters to see, all the take from that whole kind of grouping. Those guys should get together and present something. And
I've talked to a few of them off the record because some of them still have nationals and they're afraid to speak up because of what Davey will do to them, exactly what he did to Bud. They feel the same way as Bud.
Well, it's just like our current regimes in government. It's just censorship, and if you don't say what they want to shut you down and censor truth speakers and. Yeah, so it's a bit of a click there for sure, and it's just you're living it.
And you guys had it up there in Canada when the series you got. I'm sure it's part of racing and money, and especially when it starts to become real profitable, it gets weird.
Yeah, and that was the demise of our series. Actually, we had our series going. Like, man, I could talk for hours about the start and. Once we got going, like my role was, I went around the whole track with a cameraman and a mobile camera. It's called ENG, electronic news gathering. So I'd be with the ENG guy in the trenches, and we'd have an ATV, and we go from corner to corner and shoot the tape because we would tape and then voice over Tuesday mornings at 10 o'clock. These guys would say on the internet, "Oh, those guys are stoned when they do the show." I'm like, "Well, it's 10 a.m. Tuesday morning. We're not waking bacon." So we were never stoned doing the show. But so that was the most exciting for me, was to capture the imagery, just get down low and just translate the speed to the screen is an art, because you can shoot all day long from here and it doesn't, oh yeah, that's nice. You don't even know how fast they're going. And like you could stand 30 feet from the track and then stand 2 feet from the track, and it's like twice as fast, even just that distance when you're right on the track. So I'm on the camera right on the track, and I'm watching these guys they're fast. They're not Jet Lawrence fast, but like they're Dave Millsap's fast. Like we had some freaking talent up there, and our Canadian boys held their own a lot of times, against a lot of the big names. So anyway, just shooting was the most fun, and then try to get a crash. And then the best thing is if we could get a crash from a fixed position and then this position, so we could show a replay from a different angle. And sometimes like they're all tied in with headsets, so they're following the battles. So I just looked to where the fixed positions were pointing and go, okay, they're shooting this battle. Let's make sure we jump in on that. So that was awesome. That was the first thing. I'd be out there all sweaty and dirty, rain, and then come up and have to like wipe off and do these interviews for the TV. I'd have to make sure I had a cloth or something, or because I'm just like roosted out, sweating, dusty, dirty, humping up and down hills with the cameraman. Couldn't always fit a quad around, and it was awesome. So I really missed that once we kind of evolved into doing the live internet radio show, and then it morphed to an actual video show. And Travers, who was the director in the mobile, the production mobile, he'd be the one shooting, telling what cameras would go to the show and for the final edit. And then so we got Jerry, one of the Hills partners, to do that job, and then him and I would be like doing a live. We ended up doing live to house, so all the fans were hearing our broadcast, then onto a live broadcast on the internet. So we were showing our races live, just on internet, not on television. So we were doing that. So that was kind of, I missed being down there. So at first it was all about the imagery, and then it became, about other things of how we shot the show, dressing the track. We had sponsors who come and be pissed right off because they don't see their banner, but their banner's right in front of the main camera for the, but we didn't have enough banners. Like, give us more banners and we'd have one when people drive in. But, we got X banner, we put it in front of the camera. So they're like, oh, that's it, we're never sponsoring you again. I'm like, meanwhile, dude, you're in front of the best camera we have. And there's your logo. And so, you can't please everyone. So it's trial and error, but, we really worked hard to do that. We had the MXP magazine, which was us. RacerX Canada had a magazine. There was Inside Motorcycles, they had a magazine. And then this guy had MX Unplugged. There's 4 magazines covering Canadian motocross at one time. It's not really anything now.
Let me ask you this, because the Canadian guys, when I watch them on your guys' broadcast, I'm like, holy crap. I think, Dusty Klatt could beat damn near anyone. And then he'd come to the United States, and I'm like, wait, that's not the same dude. Like, why is that?
I think with him, I don't think that Star bike was the greatest at that time. And maybe nagging injuries or just shit luck. He was a strong mental kid. So I think given another chance, he could have done better. Maybe it was some injuries. I would have to ask Dusty. I've done commentary with him too. He's a great dude. He lives on Vancouver Island. But yeah, to get our Canadian guys in no particular order, like Blair Morgan, legend, Darcy Lange, JSR, Dusty Klatt, Marco Dubé was one of my favorite guys. Tyler Medaglia and his brother Jeremy. Tyler's still racing. Jess Pettis still racing. Cole Thompson's still racing. Benoit, Simon Holman's still in right, still racing. Oh yeah, they were epic. And Benoit did really good at the Nations one year. He was running right near the top with the best guys in the world, so he shined. JSR shined south of the border. Blair Morgan won the 4-stroke class at the MGM Grand, and he's done well at some nationals. Dylan Wright has qualified like 4th fast at a couple 450 nationals. But again, it's a mental thing. We don't think we're good enough. Just like as motocross, we always grew up like with this chip on our shoulder. We don't think our sport's good enough to be mainstream, And then when we transitioned, when the series transitioned from Monster to Rockstar, it was because the Monster guy, the Canadian guy, wouldn't answer emails for like 2 or 3 months, and just his head was in the clouds, dude. It was like, what the frick? And they weren't really interested in music. And Mark Stollybrass, the owner of CMFC and the Nationals, wanted to bring music to the track. So we had these wicked headlining bands to try and generate more people to watch motocross. But guess what? You know what sells motocross, Chris? Motocross. We've already got the product.
And the stories. I'll tell you, what I loved about your broadcast is you would tell us if there was a pit rumor. You told it. You're like, oh, well, they heard there was a rumor over here. Like, these guys, this guy with this girl. Like, you guys dropped the nuggets.
You would say whose sister was hot.
Yes. You told the story. You gave me reasons to care, to like, to not like. And, it's really cool to watch guys ride a dirt bike. But after 3 or 4 times, you've seen it. Now I need the story as to why.
Yeah, well, cool. I guess we didn't really think of that at the time. We just wanted to make some content without being too thick on it. Like, I remember watching NBC, The American Way, like for X Games, and all they show is the family. Like, the drama. Just, oh my God, okay, enough of the drama. I don't care about his mom, sister, and grandma for the 11th time. I want to see the athlete do his shit, or her shit. And same with Supercross. You always got to shoot that guy getting the checkered flag, come hell or high water. Wicked battle on the track, but we got to see the guy with the 8-second lead. Hey, man, shoot that with one of your cameras. Let's watch the freaking battle to the end, and then do a replay of the guy hitting the checkers. We know he's hitting the checkers. We know he's won the race, but no, hell or high water. That's the way we do it in America. We got to shoot the damn winner in America. There ain't no way we're going to watch that battle for fifth to the bitter end.
Dude, last week for
those cut points, those guys need.
Dude, the East Coast Championship with Seth Hammaker, Tom Vial battling for the title. They cut to Deegan. There's a title on the line.
Dude, so many times I'm watching the telemetry and there's like 5 guys within a second and we're watching a freaking dude way out front. And you can just kind of see in the back lane. I'm like trying to peer on the side of my TV to watch the race, and then they cut. I'm like, well, there's a freaking race happening, but we're not watching it.
Yeah.
Our show, we prided ourselves on going as deep in the pack as we had to find a battle. If the only battle on the track was 18th, 19th, we're shooting 18th, 19th.
And the enthusiasm. You guys jumped in. It didn't feel like for 18th. It felt like what it felt like for the guys battling, because they're battling, and you guys.
I'm battling for 18th. I'm not battling any less hard than if it's for first.
But sometimes the announcers, if you've heard a rider,
those guys, it's the same as us guys. It's like battling for the lead for 18th. You're battling with a guy. It's just a battle.
But when you see the announcer go, oh, well, here's battle for 16th, instead of like, you guys hit it like it was the battle for the lead. And it kept me on the edge of my seat. Like I said, I got stuck watching. You told me, I went back and watched it on YouTube. I must have watched 6 straight races. I'm like, dude, it's so good.
Yeah, if anyone wants to watch them on YouTube, it's you just type in 2016-17 were our most polished years at the end. But there's tons on there. But you just kind of type in, I think it's Rocks. You'd put like 2016.
I typed in Rockstar Canadian Motocross and then whatever year I wanted to watch.
Okay. Well, then there's some of the newer stuff kind of populates as well. And you can certainly watch that as well and then watch the previous era and make your own decisions on what you like. But 2016-17 Rockstar Energy Drink Nationals and they'll populate.
We got to come back and do this again. You've got too much to say.
We didn't touch so much that I wanted to touch on too. About how we evolved all the time. Like when I don't watch our shows, but I knew I was coming on, so I watched some late into the wee hours last night and just watching how we shoot the parade lap. Like under the riders would come storming out under the Rockstar with the girls lined right up coming on to parade and then out to commercial, and then all our own music. Like we had all our own music. Travis Buddy was a percussionist in a Blue Man Group. We had Jag from the band I Mother Earth, who's a guitar virtuoso doing custom music. Like we had I Mother Earth play at our events. We had this great Canadian band called USS, and the people didn't really come for the rock show. They came from motocross. That's how we learned. Like we had these epic bands, but not many people from the city would come up. And, the CMRC and the Nationals, we were in 7 provinces at one time. I think now they're in 4. We had 10 rounds. They have 8. We'd be close to city center, so the teams could have good places to sleep, close to the track, generate spectators. Now there's races. The only fans are the amateur guys that are racing Saturday. Like, there's no one there. And I looked at some of the fans at Calgary from 16-17. Now they're just at the front. We had vets. Lines of people, galleries, beer garden.
What do you think they're missing now? Is it just the location? Is it the enthusiasm?
It's the new people wanted to take over, and they sold the industry on it, and the industry took the bait and said they could do it better. And we all were phased out, and they didn't want to pay. They didn't have the budget. They didn't want to pay for our Hills production company and our team. So it is what it is now. And if you ask the industry if they think the industry is better off now than it was, we'll see what they say. They disbanded the CMRC, which was unity across the country, all our provinces. It's like the AMA. We had the CMRC. Regional directors in each province, continuity, same entry fee, same classes, same rule book, and then provincials, then a West Coast championship, East Coast championship, and then the Transcan at Walton. Everyone had structure, and now it's just a free for all across the country. It's just amateur clubs. All the clubs are flourishing at a club level, so all these clubs are having club races, but there's no carrot. There's nothing. like these kids all had something to shoot for to be racing our nationals, and there was glory, there was a buzz.
Well,
you know, now,
dude, what you're talking about right there is something I've been screaming about. The healthier the pro series is, the bigger the amateurs. You have to, like pro baseball, like if they show a great World Series, kids go play baseball. If you have a big national, kids want to go ride dirt bikes. It trickles down.
absolutely. And now we don't really have that structure, so I don't think it's the industry selling more bikes. I don't know. The club stuff is healthy. It's going, but there's just not that structure and unity. So that is my biggest disappointment. Other than, of course, we're out of a job, and our whole production and the whole buzz and everything we created went into another direction. So we're the odd guys out, but I've been to a bunch of races, and there's a couple markets that still get some spectators, but it's not where it was. Yeah, we used to have Canadian Motocross radio every Monday night in our studio. We would voice over Tuesday morning, so we'd fly home, go to the studio, then we'd have like race notables from Sunday on the air, and we gave away a Bell helmet every show, and we'd have JSR or Blair Morgan or Tyler Villapoto race to the sickest whips. Tons of stories from Tyler Villapoto. We hit it off really well, so learned some things there. Then I crash at Trav's house, then we back in the studio Tuesday, do our bit, and then take off. So so much more stuff behind the scenes that culminated to it, and so many funny anecdotal stories, and on the road, our camaraderie of our team, I really miss. Like we went through a bunch of different track crews, the bannering and conflicts. It's not an easy job dressing those tracks, making them look good, bannering, sponsors happy, everyone happy. And then we finally got a crew that was just my friend Eric headed it up, and then Travs took control of the track dressing and just make the place look beautiful. And the methods we shot, everything had a reason. It wasn't just there was a reason. Everything was so well structured. We used to run all the cabling and the horns for the audio, for the house sound. So we'd be like reels of wire, like we were like filthy wiring the shit up, and then we wouldn't leave the track till dark, cleaning it all up. Like we'd be like, on the mic all day, and then freaking pulling wire all night. Like
Wow.
Stolly got his money's worth out of us, I'll tell you. But yeah, we worked hard. It was a labor of love. But Canadian Motocross Radio was a ball, having the guys on, and just the sport was very healthy, and we had a good buzz, and it was great. Highlights for me, was it 2001 or 2002? We had FMF sponsoring us, a big sponsor, and they had a race, an event called Baja Mar, where all their biggest partners around the world would do a bunch of days in Baja. And we were at the third and last annual, so we rented these XR 650s, me and Stolly. Travs couldn't go because he wasn't quite proficient enough rider to go ride Baja. And they had that set up, and they had an A route and a B route. But I'll tell you quickly, when we were at Anaheim 1, because it was right after A1, so we were down for A1. We stayed at my brother's house down there. I think he was out of town. We had his house. He lives in Mission Viejo. He's lived there for, 35, 40 years. Oh, my whole family's there, my cousins, aunts, uncles. But one of my favorite riders was Marty Motes, and he won the USGP at Carlsbad, both motos. And I had he had an LOP Yamaha, and I had my Yamaha all done up with the LOP white and red stickers. So I was like all LOP replica bike. And then, so I love the Marty Motes. He was awesome. So there we are. Meet him. And here's, this guy you looked in the magazines as a kid and had his replica bike and thought he was awesome. And he's just like this character, and he's like patting me on the chest. He's just like all animated. He's like, dude, you're the best freaking motocross commentator in the world, man. You guys are just shit. Fucking love your show. And I'm just like, okay, I can die tomorrow. This is awesome. Oh. One of my favorite guys likes our show, and okay, that's good enough for me. And then we did the Baja Mar thing, and here we are, we're riding with Danny Laporte. Marty Tripes was there. He wasn't riding, but Malcolm Smith, of course, Donnie Emler, the whole gang, and me and Stolly, we said the whole time we're going to do the A lines. We're only doing the A lines, and they're some tricky, nasty shit, right? We go down this.
Malcolm set him up, didn't he?
I forget who built the course, but they had great lunches, mechanics, and So we come up to this kind of group. There's this big down sand wash. You get to the bottom, and there's arrow A, B. Danny Laporte, I think he won Perry Dakar a couple times.
Yeah.
As well as World Championship, right? He's long hair, California, golden boy, like just an awesome dude. Just such a good rider and great history. So I come up and it's fucking Laporte in the back of his shit. I come up to the back of Laporte, get to the bottom. He goes B. We go A. I'm like, fucking Laporte. They were going the B route because they want to get back to the hotel and have some cervezas and sit by the pool. We go left around the corner. There's just bikes littered everywhere. This rock wash. People are freaking pushing and shit. We're like trialsing through. We're like, damn.
Listen, I've been on Malcolm rides. I did the MSR ride like 10 years with him.
Right.
Malcolm, and the A ride is just, it's not off-road riding. It's like rock climbing, cliff hawk, like bushes, like it's nasty. I never want to do another A loop again from those guys.
We did 2 days of A loop, and oh my god, on those big Hondas, it was that was a real cool event, and just so many stories of fun stuff like that, and then I got to meet Roger de Koster. See my shirt here. There's Mickey Diamond with his signature. Well, Mickey went to school with my cousin since like the second grade, and that's how I met Mickey when he was young, new to Honda. So and I raced. I think my cousin bought one of his practice bikes, and then I raced it at Glen Helen in a few races down there when I was down there. But I teamed around with Mickey a bunch and met him in Florida when he went to Yamaha with Brock Glover and Stanton. So we'd meet at Croom and then hang out, go for dinner and shit. But Mickey, I miss you so much. I phones break. I lost his number. We lost communication. Then I heard he got hurt on the bicycle. I wanted to road to recovery. By that time, I was like 3 years old. I don't know if he's going to get the donation. So Mickey, if you ever see this, brother, I love you. I have all these years, and I've been cheering you on from afar, man.
Yeah,
I love the cross path. Love the cross path with you again one day, brother.
Mickey's one of the good people in this sport.
Absolutely intelligent, just fun, and just a beautiful rider. Now you look back, he was with Honda, 86, 87, 2 championships going away. Supercross, he was one of 3 guys that was only doing all those crazy, nasty obstacles. He'd hit them first, and I know guys like RJ were threatened by his talent, and it was like, you know what? I'm not signing. I'm speculating. You get rid of that guy. So that's when he went to Yamaha, and their bikes were freaking piles. And then there were shit boxes, and Mickey's career didn't get to really go where it should. He stayed with Honda. I guarantee he could have been a Supercross champion because those bikes were a lot better. And that was the production rule was 86. I had 86 CR250 power port, cartridge forks, the milestone bike, and then the 587 was some of my best years of riding when I was an amateur. But yeah, so those were great. My cousin Robert, this is the coolest shit. Friends with Mickey, so my family down there was great. I'd always go down and get my suspension done by Pro Circuit, bring it in my suitcase, and then I'd work down there with my cousin's landscaping company, digging holes and doing sprinkler systems, and just stay in California, pay my way down there. So yeah, that was a way before TV. And then, me and my buddy would go to a lot of U.S. Nationals, the Grand Prix, Unadillas, the Amex Nations. It's just witnessed so much mayhem and good times. And, Roger de Koster would come back to the hotel. Where are those Canadian guys? They got the good beer because American beer compared to European beer is not quite there. So we'd bring a case of beer, and Roger would come back. And those were the days when rental cars would they'd go back just with zip ties and duct tape, and then you can't rent rental cars to these guys anymore. So those are just the days,
Bradshaw and Hannah are banned from Hertz for life.
yeah. I'm banned from budget. But for life. Yeah. I'm proud of it. Yeah, we used to have such a ball with that kind of shit, and doing laps and figure eights and making race courses with those things. And
Dude, I feel bad for this next generation. There's cameras everywhere. You can't do this stuff.
No, really, yeah,
it sucks.
Exactly. Yeah, it was a good old days. And then I remember Mickey winning both motos by like 30 minutes. We got invited to dinner. We're top of this restaurant, huge oval table, all the Honda Japanese guys, Dave Arnold, everyone, Mickey, and then me and my Canadian buddy on the end of the table. Deal with Roger and like all the guys. We got invited to the Team Honda dinner after he won both motos.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
This is way before TV. We're like, holy crap, this is awesome. And then I remember lent my buddy my bike to race Redbud. And we go there and, they throw all the filters and shit out. And the mechanics are taking the filters out and throw them under the cube vans. And I come at the end of the day, I'm poking around in the garbage right there. I'm, oh, shit. I'm pulling filters out of the garbage, right? They're used once, twin air filters. They fit my bike. I'm like, dude, are you kidding me? I got no money. I didn't grow up with a pot to piss in. I friggin' worked in the fields for every dirt bike I had, picked cherries and apples and potatoes, and planted trees, and, just chores around the house. My parents pay half, I pay half. So, so there I am. I'm picking the filters out of the garbage. Roger sees me. The man. He comes over and goes, oh, hey, there's some more. They're under the cubie. It's Roger Koster gets down on his hands and knees, and he's reaching under the freaking cubie. His face is being plastered against the cubie, trying to reach these filters. Gets the filters. He's gathered all these filters up and came back, gave me like 5 more.
Oh, dude. Roger Koster, dumpster dive for you, dude. He dumpster dived for you. That's
he dumpster dived for me. What a dude. And then subsequently, I got to interview him for the magazine. He was driving his BMW to one of the practice tracks with his team, and then I spoke to him for about 45 minutes an hour. I recorded it to do the article. So yeah, he's a really cool dude, and I got to meet Jeremy McGrath. Was the best in 2016. I went to Mount Morris for the launch of the 2016 KX450. This was probably in 2015. So it was like the early launch. So Racer X was there, Motocross Action, Dirt Bike, Dirt Rider, all the mags at the time, and I was representing MXP Mag. So there was like a bike with my name on it. We all had a mechanic. I think it was one mechanic for 2 riders. I think Nick Way was there. And Jeremy had just been hired by Cowie. And I didn't even know, it was kind of like, I think at that event, he was the launch to Cowie being an ambassador. And we're at this airplane hangar, and they got it all catered to the new bikes, and the semis are in there. It was all media blitz. And they invested a bunch on it, and Mount Morris hosted it. Davey Coombs, and we're in Morgantown, I guess it was. So Davey was kind of help orchestrating with Cowie, and there was McGrath, and then they come wheeling in the freaking hangar, do a couple of spins, and then they do the big presentation, and then the next day we go to the track, and then there's all our bikes lined up with our name on them. Oh. And then they had like a photo shoot. I got a picture somewhere of me and McGrath like clicking at each other, and computers change, and then phones break. I think it's on a computer in my storage unit.
I wish you had that. I hope.
Oh, dude, I know. I'm so bad with stuff. I wish I had more content for you to put up. But there's a picture of him and I, and he just ended up being the coolest guy. He's great on the mic as well. But he doesn't need it. He doesn't have the ego. He doesn't need the shit.
No, he's legit.
Freaking life. I'll do some science of Supercross in my spare time. Take me a couple minutes, and I'm going back to the lake or the hills and ride my mountain bike with my bros. We hit it off really well. And Jeremy, if you ever see this, that was a great time. Couple days. I hope I get to shake your hand again one day. But we take the bus to the track, and everyone's kibitzing and telling stories. And he's just amazing as a human being, and just so humble. And that's, I think, the thing with Ricky. I think he needs to maybe step back in a different role and just have some guest appearances and thing. It's kind of his tenure is done. He said he's not much more fresh stuff coming out. And the thing with Daniel Blair, that was nasty. Especially the one that was on air when he was being rather cruel, which I thought in Daniel. Was he got picked on pretty good there. I didn't think he warranted it. Daniel can handle himself pretty well. I've never met Daniel Blair, but I think I loved him on the mic. I thought he was just awesome. And I do enjoy watching some of his podcasts and presentations. So I think he's amazing. But so that was tough. But that was pretty fun, meeting some of your heroes in life. And then I had a show called MX Culture when the HD just came out in 2007, HD cameras. So this producer here, he had Watercraft Television, so he got this HD camera, and he didn't know much, but he ended up getting these really good gigs. So he had a snowmobile show, so I co-hosted that. We traveled the whole world riding snowmobiles. We were like with the sled neck guys, heli to heli in the mountains, riding the sleds in the mountains in the middle of July, and traveling the world riding snowmobiles, and that was really fun. And then we had the show called MX Culture. That it was my show, but he was really didn't know the sport. He used to say, well, I wanted some, if a 75-year-old lady switches by, she's going to stop and watch this show. That's our demographic, bro. We want to, and then I've been directing camera.
Did he say 75?
Whatever, yeah, 7-year-old lady is going to watch the show. Okay, sure. So, I was shooting for so long, directing the ENG camera. That's my thing. Like, that was my thing, directing camera, like getting those images. And so we're at some race in Elsinore for the MX Culture show, and he's trying to tell me how to shoot, locations to pick for shooting and stuff. And he was brutal. He was a brutal producer, so it was hard. I think I didn't make the last episode of 13, but it was network driven, so they paid X amount. It was everyone's dream, because usually in TV you buy the air from the network, then you sell the commercials to pay back the network. So if it's $100K for a half hour, you got to sell $100K of advertising, and then you're just breaking even to get your product on TV. But when it's network driven, they just pay you X amount per episode. You don't have to sell shit. And then this guy was using tourism people to pay us money. We're going to come shoot in your region. You fly us out there and everything, and we're going to have your region on this snowmobile show. Didn't do it with MX Culture, but he really parlayed a lot of that. But so that was fun. Went to Langston's house, did a show at Gavin Graysick, a show. The pilot was with Darcy Lange at the Cowie Test Track, and NorCal was in on that. So MX Culture was a lot of fun while it lasted, and it got out there. So Nick Ways, Langston, Gary Jones, the legend Gary Jones, went to his house. We did a Yamaha when they were shooting all their posters. We were there, so we interviewed with Reed, J Law, Josh Hill. The Josh Hill Race Canada for a bunch. He was awesome. So I had a few nights out on the town with Josh, and so he remembered back when he was just 17. Him and J Law were just like two. They were trouble waiting to happen. And Josh has managed to keep his nose a little cleaner than J-Law, but love both those kids. And it was great to see J-Law's kind of come back. He had a soft spot for these guys after a while, right? And so that was a fun little segment of my life. And then writing for the magazine, got the perks of going to those events like the Cowie launch. And when Polaris bought Timber's sled, they made the friggin' to make the snow bikes. They put the track on the motocross bike with the ski. So when Polaris bought them, they did a press junket. So we went to Idaho and ripped those snow bikes all around. And so there's a lot of really cool shit that came out of, the commentary gig of motocross.
Dude, well, as good as you guys were at that commentary, you deserve every bit of it, man. It was awesome. Like I said, the whole shot will live forever. And then before I let you go, can you give me a whole shot?
Oh man, I gotta try and muster that up. We're gonna give this one the Nano Extreme whole shot.
That's good. That's perfect, dude.
Maybe we're gonna go this first 450 moto brought to you by Nano Extreme and the Nano Extreme whole shot. Something like that.
Fuck yes, brother. Fuck yes. That is so awesome. Thank you so much. And like I said, clearly you got a lot to say, and I need to have you on more. Like I say, we'll get, dude, I can't even imagine how many more stories you actually still have, because I know you do, and I've heard some of them when we talked on the phone. But we'll get to them.
I love it.
Get to them today, but we are going to get to them, man. So thank you so much to my favorite commentator ever in motocross. Thank you, Brian.
Well, Chris, thank you for all you do and speaking the truth and having some great guests and great content. I get to learn a lot, and I don't miss the show. So thank you, brother, and peace and love to all the moto community out there. We can't always get it right, but we certainly can try.